So, hey guys, Chaucer here. So yeah, I just felt like talking about support a bit. So yeah, I just decided to make a small list on a whim. So this is going to be 10 units with support I feel often get overlooked. And I decided to do 5 legends and 5 rare recruits. So yeah, we'll start with that, and I'll probably do more with talking about support in the future. So it was hard to choose legends because I feel like people accurately rate most of the legend support. Like there are certainly some things you can do here, but uh, a lot of the support are more situational, and some of these are too. But I think people see the value of situational support when they are useful, and maybe not with some of these. So let's talk first about Buggy and Sengoku. They are definitely undervalued. Like, people often don't see the benefit of the attack boost because, in many people's mind, when team building, attack boost is the most important buff. You have to have it. If you burst in a stage, you are supposed to use an attack boost. So, when will they ever use a unit like Buggy or Sengoku? But yeah, that's just a misconception. Sure, attack boost is good, it's the best buff, but the goal on every stage is to do enough damage, it's not to do an attack boost. So, yeah, basically, team building is a puzzle, and sometimes the puzzle pieces don't allow an attack booster for a stage, and maybe you're using a unit who does an ore boost or a color affinity boost, and since they're using a special anyway, you can put a unit like Buggy or Sengoku on them, and boom, you get an extra damage increase. And like if you don't have any chain lock or such, you just hit last with them, and they do a lot more damage than they would otherwise. And often that's the difference between beating a stage and not. I'd say in general, Bug is more useful since it can be put on so many units. Sengoku less so, but of course when he can be used, he has a much bigger effect since he's a 2.5 times attack booster. But of course you can only put them on cost with 29 or less. So yeah, his main use in general is for treasure map, like you pull the new treasure map booster, they are usually 20 points. So you can just make team building very easy by putting Sengoku on the treasure map booster, who will do the most damage anyway. You free up room for handling debuffs and such. So yeah, he's very common if you pull on TM Sugos. See, I think that's enough for them. Let's move on to Kung Fu Luffy, and honestly, I rate him as one of the most useful support. Like, the only thing holding him back is that he's a Luffy, but like, he can be put on so many good units, like all of the OG pre-time skip Straw Hats. Just insane. He does ore manipulation around him to matching, so you can get 3 matching slots just from the support. And he also makes perfects a lot easier to hit. And that might sound like a bit like whatever for many people, but if you're farming content, like we're talking farming, beating the same stage over and over, sometimes you just want easier perfects, you can relax a bit, you don't have to focus that much. And basically, Kung Fu Luffy on a support on the last stage when you burst and you want to hit perfects, and you like to use a ship other than like Merigo or Jackson, like you want to use the new Capone ship, like Luffy just turns it into an easier perfect ship basically with his support. Very useful. I use this Luffy a lot. This Hodi, he was the last unit I put here to be honest. It was hard to choose 5 legends, but yeah, especially with Powerhouse having a resurgence on JP, he'll be very nice to have in mind for the future. You can put him on a lot of units. Most of them are a bit whatever, but yeah, you know, at least like you're also pretty relevant with the Limerick expansion. At least if you uh, face fear or something like that. But yeah, he's mainly good for like Arlong. Arlong has many units. So yeah, if you get special reverse, all characters get -2 CD automatically. And that's obviously very helpful. Like that's like the standard for rewind. You rarely get a bigger rewind than that. So you basically don't have to use a special for that. So let's say in the future versus a Kano team, you can bring an Orlong unit and bring them to use them last stage or whatever, and they can handle special reverse on stage 4 or something. Very useful. He's pretty pretty it right now too with Orlong crew mainly. And yeah, finally, Super Sabo. I feel like he's super slapped on. He has one of the best supports in the game, to be honest. It's just insane. Only problem is that it's limited in usage, but I'm perfectly fine with that because it means these units are a lot more viable because they have this option. And what this does is when you get to the last stage, you get the 0.07 chain boost. And that's just insane. Like, that's a special level chain boost. It's very high. Like, the highest on global right now is like plus 1.0 or something around that. So this is just below that. Yeah, super useful. Makes all the units you can put on him a lot better. Very cool. So that's it for Legends. And let's look at a few rare recruits. And yeah, these are just stuff you might overlook. Sometimes I'm not talking about a particular unit. I'm more talking about keep in mind that supports like this exist. But yeah, let's start with some more of the usable ones like this Riso. He can be put on a lot of good units. Kinemon, Kanjuro, Dogstorm, Momo, Cat Viper. So it's mainly for Inu and Echo, but there are some alright. Kinemon and Kanjuro in particular. But yeah, what he does is that if you get para or special bind, you reduce it by 2 turns. And this is for everyone, so this is one of very few special bind removers in the game. But don't sleep on the paralysis removal either. So yeah, definitely very useful. Use him a lot. I've used him on Toffee 2 teams and such, on Inuneko too. Very useful. Frankie, it's just good to remember that he exists because it's basically like you use his special, you're guaranteed to get an own matching orb whenever you use the special. And of course you get the defense reduction drastically. It's usually 80% or more. I haven't checked for him in particular, but when I've used it, it has been good enough if I use it for the def reduction. It's just good to keep in mind, like, it's particularly good for a unit like Stampede Luffy, and honestly, Stampede Luffy not changing his slot with the special is just dumb, like Vito Blackbeard does it. Maybe if it gets a 6+, it gets it too, but for now, this Frankie is very good, just to guarantee that matching orb, because, like, when you use Stampede Luffy, you usually use him because you get away with just using him. You rely on him to beat the stage himself, so that skips the whole relying on other units to get you an orb thing. So yeah, good to keep this Frankie in mind. Kanjuro, like, I often see people talking a lot about, oh, Ray League so good, Korra so good, and people just ignore that this Kanjuro, like, it doesn't remove para, but if you get binded or despaired, remove 2 turns, just like that. Amazing. And you can put them on Kinemon, Momo, Riso, and Okiku, and obviously the main thing here is Okiku. There are so many very good Okiku units. In particular, the Kisu no Kiku and Re-Recruit Quick Kiku, super good. And they also have great synergy with this Kanjuro support, but obviously like Kinemon has some usable units, and you have to remember that having a support like this makes every unit that exists more valuable inherently, because you know that you get this utility for free, and then you can start seeing more value from the special and such. Like I've used limited re-recruit Kinemon, for example, sometimes with Kanjuro support, sometimes with the Riso support I show. Like it's very cool to have all those options. And of course, with Wano going on, all of these should be getting even more good units, some of them even legends. So yeah, definitely keep these supports in mind. And we'll be ending with two niche ones, but they are mainly similar units. It's just a reminder that stuff like this exists. And first Sentomaru, I'm sure many watching doesn't even know he has any special support, but he can be put on Kisaru, and it's a pretty cool effect. You'd reduce the CD by 2 turns when you enter final stage, and you get a matching orb, and the friend captain also gets a matching orb. So yeah, that's a lot in one support. And of course, the main use of these kind of supports right now is to use a special early, and then you plan so you can use it again final stage. Like you can use a unit like Brule like that. There are many supports like this. Like just go to the DB, check seed reducing supports, and it's like several pages long, and there are many cool uses for that. And JP just got the Hodi Garb challenge, and the final stage there is that you get special reversed and fear. So you have to have a fear reducing unit that also special reverses, or you can just use units with supports like this. So with this, you'd be able to use Kisaru, for example. Just an example, there are many units like this, but this is one that is often overlooked, myself included. And I like the problem with Kisaru is that Kisaru has so many good supports. Like mainly, of course, the Kishina Re-Recruit Akainu, one of the best supports in the game. So, but yeah, of course, can definitely use this if the opportunity arises. And yeah, finally this XDrake, and I definitely overlooked him. Like when I was thinking of support to show here, I remember that XDrake had something I thought was interesting. And yes, it does. The problem, of course, is that it doesn't support that many units with good units. Rogue has some niche ones. Apu doesn't have anything right now, but he should have. If you think about one, he should be getting some good soon. And of course, Hawkins has some decent ones, a legend, and yeah, he will be getting a lot of units going for like Kisna units, Power Rumble unit, lots of Hawkins to use. And yeah, this is basically like the Kisuna Barto. Like you use him, you get a free damage reduction. So yeah, very cool. And if you think about Rogue, for example, let's Google him. Google, not exactly right. Rogue. I'm just assuming that he's Powerhouse. Not this one. Yeah, this one is. Is he even useful though? No. That's a shame, because if he was useful, you could have like used him with to get the damage reduction on like V3 Blackbeard teams, for example, just as an example. Oh, this is pretty funny because you can't use XDrake on this one. Oh well, that was not the main intention anyway, but just a unit to keep in mind that there are stuff like this around. So I suggest to you that when you're building teams and you're missing one thing from a team, it can be damage reduction, it can be CD, it can be removing some debuff. look at the DB. Like, the solution might be very easy. I look all the time at the DB and for stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah, I think I've talked enough now. Hope this was helpful for some. I'll talk more about support in future videos. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.